there's FaceTime, you can hang on. 1 1/4 cup of unbleached white flour. You can use gluten-free if you need gluten-free. Added 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to add and mix in cold 6 tablespoons of vegan butter, which I use the Earth Balance. And this says to do it with a fork or whatever. I can't do that. I just use my hands. And you don't want to overwork it. You just want to incorporate the butter with the flour. And then for moisture, we're going to add, the recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of water, but she notes, and again, this is Dana with Minimalistic Baker, she notes in the description of how to put this together, just add enough water so that your dough forms. Excuse me. And again, she says don't overwork it, but just incorporate it. So that's what we're doing now. All right, so this is what we're looking at this point. I hope you can see this. I know the lighting in here is terrible. There's nothing I can do about it at this time. And we're getting ready to move to the States in March. So, you know, what can I say? Okay, I'm going to start out with about 4 tablespoons of ice cold water. And start mixing this together to form a ball of dough. I'm going to end up using my hands. That's okay. I just say it puts more love into the food when you use your hands. Our ball of dough, this is what we're looking at, or looking like right now. Oh, it's terrible. She says to take a piece of plastic cling wrap, and if you're worried about chemicals, make sure that you purchase the cling wrap that states BPA free. That's what you want to look for, the BPA free cling wrap. If you're concerned about chemicals, and like I said, who knew there was chemicals in everything? Okay, so I have a piece of messy cling wrap here. So we're going to take our dough and form a disc. And we're going to refrigerate this for up to 30 minutes. Oh, well, for 30 minutes minimum. You can do this days in advance. You can keep this in the refrigerator for up to 2 days. But this is what we're looking at now, and we are going to put this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. While our dough is chilling in the refrigerator, I got together the ingredients for the pie filling. So we've got here 2 3/4 cups of pumpkin puree, which is 100% pumpkin puree. That's all that's in it. 1/4 cup of real maple syrup. I did find some organic maple syrup here in Bermuda. It's a ShopRite brand, which is our marketplace, which would be like your Winn-Dixie or Food Lion or Kroger's. But that was the only organic real maple syrup. Everything else was like Aunt Jemima. Which I'm sure you can use that if that's what you have. But this is, again, 1/4 cup of maple syrup, then 2 tablespoons, which is 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Again, I'm using the Splenda because that's what I have in the house. So 1/2 cup is right at 2 tablespoons. So that's the Splenda brown sugar, or use 1/4 cup of regular brown sugar. Then I have 1/3 cup of unsweetened, just plain almond milk. And then a tablespoon of coconut oil that's melted. 2.5 tablespoons of cornstarch, or you can use arrowroot powder. I had the cornstarch on hand, and I wanted a pumpkin pie. Then we have pumpkin pie spice that we're going to put 1 3/4 teaspoons of, and then some sea salt that we're going to use 1/4 teaspoon. And I have my blender out here because it says to like puree the ingredients. So we will do that now. And it's been almost 30 minutes, so we'll be ready to roll out our dough in just a moment. I'm going to add all of the ingredients to the blender as instructed. at the same time. And then we'll blend it together, which I won't do that on here because it's so loud. So we're just going to pour everything in, blend it up, taste it to see how well it tastes, and then we'll do our crust and get it in the oven. All right, now to me, here comes the tricky part. So this has been in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. I've got 2 pieces of wax paper. The instructions say it says nothing about using additional flour. So we're gonna see how this works. This could be comical. But it says to lay your disc down, seems awful sticky, on the 1 piece of wax paper, put another one on over it. I'm going to throw this away. Let it warm up a little bit, but it says to gently roll it out so that it's going to fit your pie pan, which is here is my pie. I only have a glass pie container. And to me, part of the fun about doing this, you can always buy your pie crust, but this is part of the fun of it. Of course, because I say it's such a challenge, I don't know that it encourages anyone. Okay, this seems to be working okay. You guys know I'm not a baker. I'm a cooker. Love to try new recipes, but I thought I was going to make this before Christmas, but I just ran out of time. Did that happen to anybody else? Which I'm pretty good at time management, but things just kind of took priority over making a pumpkin pie. And you can enjoy a pumpkin pie anytime. It doesn't have to be the holidays. Okay, what do you think? It says if it tears or rips, not to worry about it, because you can fix it once you get it in the pie pan or pie, in my case, dish. Now she says to gently peel this off, not to overthink it. Do it that way. So far we're all right. Oh, and I'm supposed to preheat, which I didn't, preheat the oven to 350. So I did that right then for my sweet tooth. That before I became vegan, I didn't seem to have so much of a sweet tooth, but lately I'm just kind of craving the sweets. Okay, I'm just pressing this down, and then we'll go back and make it pretty. We hope. All right, so here's where I am. I just tried to spruce it up a little bit. And now we're going to put our pie filling, which this looks like it's a lot. Should have gotten a spatula. So this is going to be great. Okay, now I'm going to get a baking sheet out. I know this isn't going to overfill, but that's okay. I'm going to do it anyway, just because I should. But this is what we look like so far. My hands are clean. So this is where we are. All right, so we have now our pie. Sorry about that. I was moving my iPad actually off the stove because I'm a ding-dong and left it there. We have our pie. I put it on a baking sheet with aluminum foil. I don't think there's going to be any spillage, but we have to cook this at 350 for about, it says 58 to 65 minutes. So we have quite the time to wait to do a taste test, but this is what we're looking at before we go in the oven. So I'm going to put it in now, and I will see you in a few seconds for you, about an hour for me. All right, so while this pumpkin pie is cooking, I'm going to toast or roast some pecans, and we're going to add to that in a butter sauce, brown sugar, cayenne pepper, cinnamon, and sea salt. But we're going to roast about, well, the recipe actually called for a half a cup. I don't have a half a cup. This is what I have left over from Christmas casseroles, Christmas cooking. So I have about a third of a cup, and we're going to roast it for the pecans for about 8 minutes. And while we're doing that, we'll fix the sauce that they go in. Okay, so I am melting my butter, which is a tablespoon of butter. And to that, I'm going to add right out a tablespoon of brown sugar. And then we're going to guess at this because it says a pinch of cayenne pepper. Well, and I'm doing this over medium heat. A pinch of cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is really, really hot. Ooh, that's more than a pinch. So I'm just going to add what I think is a pinch. A pinch of cinnamon. I like cinnamon. I'm going to add a little bit more. Got this on medium. I probably need to turn it on low. And a pinch of sea salt. We're going to stir this up. This is what we look like. Hope you can see this okay. And we'll let that blend, especially with that cayenne pepper in there. I've never had roasted pecans or any recipe like this call for cayenne pepper, so I'm curious to see what this tastes like. But this should go really, really well with the pecan pie. And then I'm going to try to make a whipped coconut cream to go with it, but I don't think I've had my coconut chilling long enough yet, so we will see. Okay, we have roasted the pecans in the oven for about 8 minutes. We're going to pour them in the sauce and stir them around to coat them completely. And then we're going to put them back in the oven for about 4 to 7 minutes and let all of this goodness bake on top of them or roast on top of them. But you have to be careful not to let these burn. Ow, that's hot. Spread them out some. It's not a lot. I don't have enough, but it's something to do with what I had left. So we're going to put these back in the oven. Ouch, hot. For, like I said, 4 to 7 minutes. And this is on 350 as well. Alright, so there are our, wow, the lighting in here, ugh. There are our roasted with butter, brown sugar, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, and a little bit of salt. They're finished roasting. The pie has probably about 2 or 3 minutes to go, and now I'm going to attempt to make a coconut whipped cream topping. Alright, so now we're going to make a coconut whipping cream, which is like whipped cream, a vegan whipped cream to go on top of your pastries or your pie, in this case, on top of our pumpkin pie. But the deal is, you either have to buy coconut cream or you have to buy full fat content coconut milk, which is what I've done. Because what you want to do, you're going to take the solid part from your coconut container, your coconut milk or cream container. Again, cream is the best to use per this recipe instruction. I could not find cream anywhere, so I got the full fat, or I think it's full fat. I chilled it overnight. You only want to use the solid part. You don't want to use the liquid part. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's still liquidy, so maybe I didn't chill it long enough. But again, if you can get the cream, get the cream. If not, you'll have to do what I did and just get the full fat content And then you blend this up for about a minute, which I'll edit this because it's going to be loud. Okay, and so to this, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. And we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of, a little bit more of vanilla, but I like vanilla, so that's okay. And then, I don't want to do that. Then I'm just going to stir it up. And we'll blend it again. And the mixing bowl that I used is glass, and I put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes so that it would be as cold as the coconut milk. And then I'm going to stick it back in the freezer. Yum! Okay, so we have that well blended and it tastes delicious. So I'm going to put this back in the freezer until I'm ready to slice up and do a taste test. Probably want it thicker. Again, I think because I had to use, because the only thing that I could get was the coconut milk instead of the cream, which if you're in the States or in the UK, I know that you'll be able to get the coconut cream with no problem. I just couldn't get it here in Bermuda. God, that's good. Okay, so I know that this is not the greatest background here or lighting, and I apologize, but I thank you for coming along for the journey. We're going to do a taste test on this pumpkin pie that has been quite the adventure to make. But this is what I'm looking at now. Looks kind of funky, or without my glasses on, it looks funky. Okay, so it's delicious. The pumpkin pie with the crunchiness of the toasted pecans and the creaminess of the coconut whipped topping. It's fantastic. I love it. So while I'm devouring this pumpkin pie here, I thought we would talk about the transition to veganism. And for me, I read these comments and stuff. Boy, my hair's wild. I look like a wild woman. Y'all just have to. I'm trying to grow my hair out before I'm too old to have long hair, which some of you may think that I am too old to have long hair already, but I've never had long hair. I've always wanted long hair, and so before I'm too old, Stevie Nicks has long hair. She's older than I am, and I love Stevie Nicks. The transition to veganism, so that we have some veganism in here, aside from the fact that this pie is completely vegan, and it does not taste like it's completely vegan. This coconut cream tastes milky. It tastes like Cool Whip. I mean, it's fantastic. Sorry, y'all, I'm starving. So I read comments and hear statements about how difficult it is. I've got food all over me. Boy, when I cook, maybe that's not food. Maybe I've scratched myself. Who the hell knows? Anyway, the comments on transitioning or the streams and listening to people's comments or statements, I didn't have a difficult time transitioning to veganism, probably because I was already sold on the fact that it would be better for me. And from previous videos that I did go vegan because for health reasons. I think maybe you go vegan for health reasons, you stay vegan for ethical reasons. I don't know. I just can't imagine ever eating animals again because I don't see the point when I feel so much better without it in staying plant-based. But it was not a hard transition for me personally, but I'm in a different stage of life than a lot of my viewers are. And I get a lot of emails and comments. Well, how did you transition? How did you transition? Well, I went pretty much from being a complete meat eater to vegetarianism for about a month, maybe. Okay, 2 months. I was vegetarian, so I stopped eating meat, but I was still eating eggs. I was still eating cheese, and as I've always said, cheese was my hardest thing to give up as far as an animal byproduct. So, and I was already on the thing of, why do we have to buy makeup that is cruelty, that promotes testing on animals or animal parts to get pigmentation? Why do we have to do that? So I was already into the Jeffree Star, Kat Von D, just different, makeups and experimenting. I'm looking outside. We have a traffic jam, which is unusual for where I live. Don't know what's going on out there. I'm facing a window, so I'm distracted. I'm sorry. So anyway, I was vegetarian for about 2 months, and then I just decided, okay, enough is enough. This is, enough time. And so then I just completely did not pick up any more cheese, milk, eggs, dairy products. I had already gotten rid of the meat. So to me, because it was easy for me, or not difficult at all, I would do away with the meat first, and then wean yourself off of things like eggs, milk, begin cooking with almond milk, begin cooking with the vegan butter. I did all of my Christmas, everything that I did for Christmas casseroles and everything had the vegan butter in it. I did not use eggs. I used either smashed up bananas or applesauce or the flaxseed, but nobody knew the difference. It tasted wonderful. There is flavorful recipes. This pumpkin pie is unbelievable. I think I didn't have as much success with the coconut whipped topping as I would have liked, but I think it's because I didn't have the cream, or maybe I didn't chill my fat full coconut milk long enough. I don't know, but it's still delicious, and the crust is just perfect. If you're doing this in a glass dish like I did, spray it with some Smart Balance, some non-dairy cooking spray, like not Pam, but something like Pam. I use Smart Balance, and it's chemical and dairy free. So anyway, wean yourself off the meat, set yourself a deadline. Say, well, by this time I'll be completely vegan, and good on you, man. If you do that, if you have problems, if you have slip-ups. Okay, so my daughter interrupted me with a FaceTime. Like I said, she just became engaged this weekend, and so we are already planning a wedding. It's her second marriage and her husband-to-be's second marriage, so you would think that it's not as big of a deal. It is as big of a deal, and it should be. So I'm giving her my undivided attention, so that's why I keep going back and forth, because this is an exciting time for our family. But anyway, the transition, cut out the meat, and then wean yourself off of the dairy, the eggs, the cheese, and the most important thing to remember is to have food around. Think about what you're going to do. Do some research. Like, I'm going to tell you, there are unhealthy vegetarians, there are unhealthy vegans, so be careful about what vegan diet you intend to go on. I suggest whole plant foods. Get your, go grocery shopping, get your broccoli, your cauliflower, your carrots, your whatever you are your favorites, and baby yourself through this time. Give yourself a break and Be good to yourself. Allow yourself some treats. Have that vegan apple pie. Cook that vegan pumpkin pie. You know, whatever it takes to make sure that you have yourself lined up. Make sure that you have some non-hydrogenated organic peanut butter, where you have to actually stir up the peanut oil to make the consistency correct, because that'll give you your protein. So if you're hungry, have a peanut butter cracker, or have this is crazy. Have some sliced apple, apple slices, and put some peanut butter on it. Just plan. Think about what you would like to have. Watch Forks Over Knives, or go to their website. Get yourself some recipes. Set yourself up to succeed. Don't set yourself up for failure. And the thing is too, the mindset. Educate yourself. Find out, what recipes do I want to try? What vegetables really turn me on? And focus on that. And then plan your meals around those vegetables that you like the most, because what you're going to find, you'll experiment a lot the longer that you stay in a plant-based or vegan diet, that you find out what turns you on and what doesn't, what you like and what you don't like. And give yourself some time for experimentation, and know that that's okay. If you slip and fall, pick yourself back up and just keep going. So stay with yourself, give yourself a break, be good to yourself, and cheers. Thank you for coming to visit my home. Thank you for coming to visit my kitchen, and then for hanging out with me for this conversation. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I love to know that you guys are out there. Let me know. Talk to me. Let me know what recipes you'd like for me to try, or what topics that you want a grandma's point of view on. And also hit the like button so I know, or dislike. Critique, I can handle it. So thank you again for joining me. So from my house to yours, I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, and you're looking forward to ringing in 2017, because I'm sure it will be an exciting year. And think positive. Always think positive. Love you guys. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.